Liz is ready. Liz is ready, so we got to start the podcast. Thank you, Liz. It started. Okay, we're here. However, missing half a crew. Don't worry, people are coming. People are coming. People will be here. They're just late. Maybe we have a little replacement guest as well popping in to share their insights about SoFi, why they're purchasing as well. But that will be a little bit later on into the show. Riley, good to see you.
Good to see you. I'm glad we kicked off the rest of the people.
See, that's why we do it. That's why we do it right there. Hey, Mike. Hey, Tim. Good to see everyone. That being said, okay. First off, a couple of exciting things. Some people actually started to get rolled out their SoFi UI updates. Riley, have you had
Yeah,
access to this, by the way?
I haven't, but nevertheless, it does look at like exactly what we saw in January. So the dark mode's there and all the familiar UI that we covered 6 months ago. So finally, it's coming after 4.5 years.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, I
Yeah,
I, I think so as well, and it looks like it's from the people that have had hands-on access because it is starting to be rolled out. Um, that it is quite useful. I mean, it's not Robin Hood level; it's not going to compete with like absolutely best in breed, but at least it's a massive improvement to where we were before. And
yeah.
let me know in the
It's
comments, like if people are actually getting it yet, and if you think that that's a reason that you'll actually continue to trade on SoFi.
I think it's going to be like a huge sticky layer for people to stay on SoFi.
Right.
If they just upgrade this a little bit more, it could cause a larger people to be trapped at the top of the funnel for SoFi, which I mean, it's only going to help our unit economics down the road, you know?
Tevis,
Both.
Hey, what's up? Sorry,
what's
I'm
up,
late.
buddy?
You guys
We
talking
got a
about the
guest.
update?
Yeah, we're talking about the update. We got a guest coming on in 5 minutes. That's going to be talking about their perspective and why they're investing in SoFi. So that'll be fun. You got to be nice, Tevis. I know you hate strangers, um, but yeah. Uh, are you guys interested in hearing about this Forbes article? I know we didn't talk about this because it was a little bit late information. Anthony Noto shared a Cornerstone Advisors article talking about SoFi's growth over the past
Yeah.
couple of years.
Yeah, I
I'd love
did
to
see
share
that.
this.
Can you share it?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Let's do it.
Okay. Um, this was the article. The checking account war is over and the fintechs have won. Okay. They shared a lot of great details in terms of the percentages of new checking accounts opened and the type of institutions. Okay. As you can tell, all the other, for the most part, aside from community banks, actually shrunk in their percentage of new account opens, where digital bank and fintechs have continued to climb year after year. Okay. Um, it's obviously showing that people are gaining a larger appetite for this type of product. And where is it? Here as well, you can see the demographic of the people that are actually considering digital banks or fintechs their primary checking account provider is growing across all demographics, including what people didn't think, the baby boomers, going from 4% to 11%, which is a massive spike. But I think that's
Wow.
175% increase or something. Um, Gen X, millennials, Gen Zs, all seeing even larger increases than that. Very exciting.
Yeah, but this was
Um,
also like there's macro repercussions that result in this, right? Like everybody is going to go up when you have a lockdown for 3 years and people can't go to branches. Like, of course,
well,
they're
this
going
is
to go to
comparing
digital banks.
this is comparing 2020 to 2023.
I know. And 90% of that
Oh,
time, people
wow.
were locked up.
Could you go back to the picture above? Because what is that a percentage of? Because or the
What do
one
you
right
mean?
above that. Uh,
This is a percentage of
yeah,
new
that.
account opens.
So regional banks are still getting 21% new like account opens. That's kind of crazy to me. And we've only
Of the
doubled
percentage
regional
of new
banks.
checking, yeah, of the percentage of new checking accounts, 21% of them go to regional banks.
Oh wow. Okay, okay, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
At least it's shrinking. It's still kind of crazy to me that people actually walk into a regional bank.
Well, they also have online digital accounts as well. Like that's the one thing that I also realize
Oh,
is like,
that's true.
a lot of people are still in one of the articles that we're recovering on the FinTech Frenzy podcast was that it was something like 75% of people still do all of their banking online, but still the high majority, 81%, are doing it through their mega banks. So they're just
Mhm.
using a FinTech platform, but through a mega bank brand. But the problem with that is that, you know, they're not seeing all of the massive benefits. Like if you're willing to not have the branch, then you should also take the benefits with it, the 4.3%, stuff like this. And
Mhm.
to
So
negate a
when you
lot of
mean,
what go ahead.
are you talking about fintech like products like Marcus, where it's really a mega bank, Goldman Sachs, and people are signing
No,
up for like institutions like that?
no, I'm talking about, Chase Chase app. You know what I mean? Like people are using that
Oh
more
yeah.
often than anything. And to negate your point, Tevis, you would see a larger spike in the percentage of new checking accounts if you saw it like it would be showing up here. You know what I mean? The higher percentage is it's not front loaded. It seems to be increasing every single year. So the highest majority of new digital banks is coming in still in 2023.
Yeah, but what I mean is that, okay, like obviously there's going to be tailwinds because fintechs have lower barriers to entry. You can just download an app and do a 10-minute sign up process. Whereas for the physical brick and mortar places, you actually have to go there physically, sign some papers that somebody prints out, with a wet signature. And who knows how long that's going to take until you get like a physical piece of plastic. And it just, there's hurdles that are put in place, right? And so it makes sense that the percentage would increase every subsequent year, especially when you look at such a thin time frame of 3 years, right? From 2020. Like it would be interesting for me to see from, let's say, 2013 to 2023, because then you could actually get a more accurate representation of the rise of these fintechs, because a lot of them didn't even exist. A lot of them didn't have the features and the functionality that they do, today. And you could actually get a more accurate measure. But I just think that like a good portion of this is this macro headwind that all brick and mortar locations faced over that same time period, which could contribute to the numbers skewing in the fintech's direction.
Yeah, but wouldn't you say that that's over now? Like in 2023, that headwind is gone.
Sure, but throughout all four of these uh, periods, like from 2020, 2021, 2022, and parts of 2023, like it still played a factor, right?
Yeah, I don't think you're giving the fintechs nearly enough credit. I think 2020 was probably, I'm sure there was a large increase whenever people had to make a direct switch. You see that in PayPal's numbers or any of the fintechs. But even in 2020, the regional banks and mega banks still made up a larger percentage of the total checking accounts than did fintechs this year. Like, I don't think this is a macro trend. This seems to just be like, it doesn't seem secular at all. It seems like this is just going forward. People are liking this product across the board. That's not, macro.
No, I'm bullish on fintech just as much as the next person is. I'm just saying that I just don't know how clean the data is from just that fintech lens alone. Um,
Sure.
but like, I mean, look, the earlier point was it makes sense why fintech would be rising, whereas mega banks and regionals would be falling, is because fintech has lower barriers to entry than the other ones do.
Yeah, but that's why
Like,
I'm investing
dude,
my babies.
Riley was literally on a pod like 4 weeks ago, and he like got the Apple card while in the pod.
Mhm.
You know what
Yeah,
I'm
Yeah,
saying?
but
Like,
that's but but if you're comparing one to one, then that is the benefit to fintech. That's why people are investing. But SoFi was named very specifically in this article. Winners and losers, SoFi and Wells Fargo. In 2020, SoFi accounted for 1% of new account opens, while Wells Fargo's share was 8.1%. In the first half of 2023, SoFi's market share quadrupled to 4%, while a Wells Fargo share dropped by more than half to 3.5%. What do we think about that?
What's funny about that is in 2021, I left Wells Fargo for SoFi. So it makes sense. Checks out.
Gotcha.
I hate Wells Fargo with a passion.
I think most of their
Awful
customers do. I
company.
think they have some of the lowest NPS scores, don't they? Like they're, that's not what I meant to click. There we go.
Yeah, dude. The amount of scandals that they've had, and they're still somehow surviving. They're like cockroaches, you know. They can survive this like nuclear apocalypse of all of the scandals. Like, if Netflix has a documentary around your scandals, like it's pretty fucked up.
I want to just talk about like one little story about why I hate Wells Fargo so much, and I said this like a few months ago, or maybe like 5 months ago, but one of the big reasons why I left Wells Fargo was because back in like 2016, 2017, I wanted to download all of my records, like every banking statement I had for the last 5 years. And to do it online, I would have to go to their website, go to search through the filters, like the year, the month, click on it. It would open up a new page. And then in that new page, I have to click the download button, and then that would download. And if I go back to the next page, it resets all the filters. So I have to hit the filters again. And to do that for 5 years was going to be like a pain in the ass. So I ended up calling Wells Fargo to talk to a rep and ask them, like, could you just send me an email with all my bank statements, all my available bank statements? And they're like, it's going to be a $25 charge for each PDF we send you. And I just thought, like, that is just so bad. And with SoFi, I literally just have like the document center, and I can click that and just click the ones I want to download, and it's all there at my fingertips. And once I saw that, I was like, I'm done. This is it.
So that's why you switched. That might have been why you invested. But now I'm really curious to know why maybe Vitaly has invested.
Oh, what's up? How's it going, guys?
Hi, Vitaly. How's it going, man?
Pretty good. Tanner just asked me to be on the pod. I guess the Mitt couldn't make it. This is what happened.
You know what is sickening? Okay, I saw on the on Twitter or something, someone ran a poll saying who's the real junkie. All right, and no one voted for Vitaly. I'll put up my phone right now. I voted for you, Vitaly.
Thank you. One vote.
You're my junkie, all right? But so I thought
most people don't like when junkies make money. So you know.
Yeah. People didn't vote on Vitaly because he's the one with the highest portfolio earnings, I guess.
So we're going to talk SoFi. I do got some things about SoFi.
Yeah, let me know.
What first led you to invest? Yeah.
So Chris promised me this was going to 100 billion.
Wait, you're in? I thought you were out, Vitaly.
So, okay. So what happened was I invested in SoFi when it almost SPAC'd a while ago. And then I lost some money on it. I forgot exactly what, but I've lost some money on it. And then I was out. I was like, you know what? Fintech is down. It's out. I didn't get rid of my Square, though. I didn't get rid of my PayPal. So I'm still bag holding a lot of that. But I got rid of SoFi. I can't see that. All right, there you go. That's not too bad. Not too bad.
Wait. It looks like a fairly even poll.
Yeah.
Where is it? Why can't you see it?
It's blurry. It's blurry. You know, you can share a screen.
There you go.
Are you in charge of this stream?
You see that check mark right there?
Yeah.
So,
nice.
Oh,
look at this. 20%, baby. 20%.
Carlos came out swinging, but he lost it. All his freedom of speech people, they just stopped.
You're a little blurry. I don't know what's going on with the camera.
My bad. You know, it's because I had to zoom out to put it on the phone. And
yeah, the freedom of speech thing. I'm not going to get into that.
No. We're here for SoFi.
But yeah, I sold out of SoFi because I think you heard my thesis on fintech. Fintech is like, it's difficult, man. It's like, what is the moat of fintech? And maybe you guys can answer this question, but I go back and forth, and I've done a lot of due diligence on these different players. which let me start off first by saying I am in SoFi, first of all, not because of Chris. Chris does not make me invest in anything except complete spec stocks, which I won't talk about right now. But I bought SoFi because look, it fell down to $5. It became almost a no-brainer that at $5 that there was going to be some sort of bounce. And what I did actually, I had my shares from a while back. I actually did keep some shares. I didn't sell out of all of it. And I decided to just do leaps. So I bought a bunch of leaps. And I bought a couple of shares too at $5 because I was like, okay, at $5, I know the downside. Like if you listen to someone like Peter Lynch, they'll say, look, if you invest in a small cap stock at $5, where can it go? It can go to zero, obviously. But I don't believe SoFi is going to zero. I believe that it's going to have some sort of a future and something's going to happen. But once again, I go back to what is the moat of fintechs? Because at the end of the day, the way SoFi is getting their customers right now is because the rates are high, right? You guys agree? They're getting a lot of customers right now because they're advertising, they're spending a lot of money. Their rates are high, which are higher than if you're not looking at JPM and something safe, you're probably going to look at SoFi or M1, which I'm actually part of M1 as well, and I have a SoFi account. So that's working out right now. But 2 years from now, my question is, does that transition back into as soon as the rates start coming down, 2 years, 3 years, whatever? Hopefully they've hit escape velocity, and at that point they are. Noto's bag needs to be what, $25? Hopefully $25. My options have printed. I made a lot of money, and I don't think I'll be the guy holding it past $25. I'm not sure what's the market cap of 25, if anyone knows. So once that happens, I think I'm out because once again, I go back to what is the mode of fintech? So I'll keep my thesis short, unless SoFi proves that Galileo is not a fly-by-night thing and they can actually create a SaaS business out of it, which was the original reason I invested in SoFi back like when it SPACed. Because I loved what they were doing with Galileo. I thought this is brilliant. I don't know of many like fintechs doing this type of a thing. Even Square's not even doing something like this, right? So that's why I invested.
Yeah. So the one way that I always think about, just off the top of your head, whenever you're thinking about SoFi's market cap, it's about $1 per billion. So it would be like 25 billion. Okay. Yeah, they have a very, very close amount of shares, I think, to actually make out the $1 per billion.
So to your point, though, Wells Fargo's, I keep going back to that. We even had an episode, by the way, in Freelancer Finance. We talked about SoFi. We were talking about them back when they SPAC, like I said. And I said, look, if SoFi gets anywhere near Wells Fargo, we're talking about what, $150 billion company, anywhere near it. So
Freelancer Finance, what is that? I've never heard.
No, maybe you haven't. I don't know if you have, because I'm
on the Discord.
Well, we have a channel. Me and Carlos have a channel, Freelancer Finance. We only have 3,000 subs. We don't promote it as much. We promote the Discord, of course. But we have all of these good videos where we actually do go in depth. And we went in depth with SoFi a long time ago. So the thesis is, once again, Galileo, 25 billion seems very reasonable if it's successful. But I'm not investing it for the bank. That was never my reason. And I know you guys are a bunch of bankers. So actually, Tanner, you're a banker, right? You're basically a Wall Street guy, or in Canada, an equivalent.
No, I'm just I'm a financial advisor. I don't deal with like corporate clients. I deal with like retail customers.
Okay. And Riley, I'm not sure what you do.
I don't know. I quit my job in March.
But were you in the finance business?
I was an account manager, so I guess, but not really.
Okay. And Tevis, you are also in the financial game?
No, I work in tech. I'm a product manager.
Okay. So actually, Tevis is probably the only one I would listen to about the tech portion in terms of like if SoFi has a real moat in terms of tech. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, look, the Galileo thesis is going to take a while to play out. And the bank thesis, one of the main reasons I'm invested in SoFi is that flywheel of them having an ecosystem with SoFi Plus as the central spoke to that ecosystem, where you can enter, and through SoFi Plus, they can diversify your rewards to such an extent that they can double dip, triple dip, quadruple dip you in so many different products in their ecosystem and increase that stickiness per user. That's going to be the short to medium term holdover, let's say, until the Galileo use case can play out, because it's going to be a while.
Well, let me ask you a question. That's not a technical moat, first of all, which you just mentioned. That's something easily copyable by anybody if they do. I'm not saying the old guard, Wells Fargo, and everybody's going to do it properly. But what is the actual? So that's why I go back to Galileo. What is the actual moat of a company like this? Besides the stickiness of the multiple products, we know they have that.
So honestly, the way that I think about it is who can compete. Okay, so if you want to talk about, you know, let's talk about rate compression or APY offerings. Let's say there's a bunch of people out there that want that 4.3%. Who can compete? Because if it's a race to the highest APYs, SoFi versus a lot of the fintech companies has that ability to, raise their APYs because they're making money through their lending section. So they have all this money that they can offer through their bank charter because they're lowering their cost of funding that the normal fintechs can't necessarily afford to be as profitable because they have to pay those fees to another bank. Okay. And then you look at the Wells Fargo. Okay. Well, you mentioned Wells Fargo. So how can they compete? Well, they've got all these branches, large pension funds, massive amounts of high expenses like dividends for their stock. I don't believe that they can compete either because they have all of these obligations already. So
you're talking about legacy infrastructure. They're stuck sort of, but okay, fine. So let's discount all the old guard, the JPMs or whatever. Who are the new guys who are competing with? Because I actually don't know. Who are the new guys competing with SoFi?
Well,
there isn't. Not really.
Yeah, there is.
No, of course there is. It's Chime. It's M1.
Yeah, so think of it like this.
They're not competing at all. They're completely focused on something else.
Okay,
SoFi.
I'm surprised that caused a disagreement between the three of you. This is interesting.
Well, so let's take it one thing at a time. Let's just all agree on the positioning where SoFi is in the market as a hybrid player, right? Like if you think of a spectrum, on one end of the spectrum, you have the brick and mortars, the Wells Fargos, the JP Morgans. On the other end of the spectrum, you have like the cash apps, the fully fintech, like mobile apps that you can download. And then SoFi is somewhere in the middle. So you could make a case that SoFi is direct competitor with the brick and mortars. You could also make a case that they are a direct competitor with like Cash App, let's say. You can. But the truth is that by being a hybrid player in the middle, you get the best of both worlds. You get lower fees because you don't have the legacy infrastructure, and you get that ecosystem, which a lot of these modern fintechs can't provide because SoFi is also a chartered bank.
So that is very powerful, by the way. And I'm surprised the market is totally not. The stock should be over $10 just because it's a bank now. It's an official bank, but it's not. So the question is Robinhood, like I think someone mentioned that, is Square, like all of these other players, are they working towards that too? Which I don't, once again, I'm not following all of this fintechs very closely. So are they working towards the same thing, becoming chartered banks? And basically SoFi is going to end up competing with Square, and Square has more money. So Square might win this whole game too, right? If they actually go that route.
No, Square's going the route of PayPal and Venmo similarly. They're looking for international expansion, and the nut that they've cracked is some of the lowest customer acquisition costs. That's what's so great about Robinhood, Cash App, and what's the other one? Nubank, for example, is they've cracked the customer acquisition cost model, where SoFi is a completely different beast. They're not going after low customer acquisition costs. They're willing to pay for it because we're a lending first company, right? We're trying to get people through the door at whatever price it is, as long as, we have some sort of break even that's close to whenever we acquired the customer. So they're different approaches, but no, they're not going after a national bank license because it's very hard to go international after that.
In that case, I would say then if that doesn't happen, I would say SoFi does have a moat, like you said, in between all of these players, because if they can't get the banking charter like that SoFi got, then you do have, I'm going to call it a moat, but it's still hard for me to say that because like I've seen just fintech totally get destroyed because once again, at the end of the day, even PayPal right now, I would say PayPal is a value stock. It's a value play. Like why are people not respecting it? In fact, I've invested a little bit more money into PayPal because I'm like, it's undervalued. But the reason they're being undervalued, the same as SoFi, is like at the end of the day, they're thinking somebody can come along and do what they're doing, and Apple's eating their lunch, and this other company is coming up. Who are the guys on the internet who do all the transactions now? What are they called? That they haven't gone public yet.
Are you talking about Apex
or Stripe?
Stripe. So another person eating sort of the transactions lunch. So all these players are coming in. It's such low barrier to entry for all of this. And I feel it's almost similar. Once again, like SoFi got the bank chart and they got Galileo. So if I was to say there was a moat, it would be those two things that those other players don't seem to have. But I just want to bring up a chart. Can I share something here?
Yeah. Oh, my
I'll just see if you guys are worried about this.
So bear with me. I just need. Okay,
window.
go ahead.
Let me share this. Do you guys see this?
It hasn't popped up for me.
In a moment.
Oh, I got it now.
Yeah. Okay, Q1 2023. I'm sure you guys know it better than I do. But I always check on a couple of stats. Well, one is, so members sort of slowing down. I know it's still high growth. We'll go through it each individually. Are you worried about that the members are slowing down because they were growing really fast for a couple of quarters? No?
Well, I'll let Teva speak on it, but management has already spoke about this.
Yeah. So sequentially, Vitaly, like this was a number that is concerning at face value, but then management talks about it. And look, the long story short there is that the members that they're acquiring are pretty directly attributable to marketing spend, which has come down in this market, and it's going to go back up when the rates come down, right? And then number two is that SoFi can actually throttle a lot of the members that they accept with their FICO scores. So they just crank up to say, okay, if the market is bad, if we're looking like we're going to head into a recession, we only want to accept like 750s and above because we want to lower that delinquency rate as much as possible, let's just say. And so we want to have the best clients. But in times where, the market is on the up, they can lower that FICO score rating and then can get more members to the door. And so they're basically anchoring their member growth to around 400 to 450,000 each quarter.
When you say anchoring, you're saying they're actually stopping member growth?
They're stopping sales and marketing expense.
They're not actively promoting it.
Okay, so that makes sense because they do have large expenses for promoting their product in order to get more people in the door. So just to give a bear case, because I'm the only one here who's going to give any bear case, that they have to spend a lot of money to get people. And obviously other fintechs can do the same thing, spend a lot of money to get people, which, that's not a virtuous cycle. A virtuous cycle is like, I drive my Tesla. My next door neighbor is like, hey, that looks fucking cool. I want that thing. Right. And then they get it. And then the next door guy sees it. And that's what's been happening with a product. I know it's a product like that you can see, but I don't go home and talk about SoFi to anybody. Well, I do personally.
It's not cool. SoFi's not cool yet.
Yeah.
So no, but my point is like, if you're in this ecosystem, I get SoFi's monetizing you, but you have no desire to really go to your friends and be like, hey guys, join this, unless you're like a SoFi bull and you have SoFi Weekly. That's not a normal conversation.
There's referral fees and stuff like this where, you can talk to your friends and they'll give each of you $25 to sign each other up. And there is a little bit of that. And they were saying for quite a while that, their referrals were at the highest that they've ever seen. But now I think that there's such a focus, as you can tell, there's this 400,000 plus member barrier right now, which they've said is that's the limiting factor. Okay. Because they are trying to hit profitability, net income, like GAAP profitability. Okay. In 2024, they're saying that their new members will ramp up to 800 to 1 million new customers per quarter. Now, like you said,
is that with their spend increasing? They've mentioned that too.
Potentially, but also there is that network effect. Like you might not think that people talk about their banks, but they do.
Scroll down a couple of slides, Vitaly, because I also want to just show you this because I think that's a good content.
I did want to talk about some others, but go ahead. Which one?
Just keep scrolling. Keep scrolling. This
one.
Yeah. So basically, if you see in the dark blue is their lending products. The light blue is their financial services products. And ever since 2021, they've been introducing more and more financial services products. Mm-hmm. Lending is just, home, student, and personal loans. But financial services like SoFi Invest, SoFi Money, SoFi Relay, which is their fastest growing product. The cool thing about this is that flywheel is increasing. So if you think about it, you have on one hand the network effects around like me sharing SoFi and promoting it with my friends and family. But on the other hand, you have this deep desire with people that want to centralize a lot of their financial information and want to have it all live in one place and it be a seamless user experience for them. And so for me, like, I don't know, maybe you can let me know for yourself, but like for me, I want to have all of my main apps in one. I want to have a seamless transition between my bank account and my investing app. I don't want to have any friction points there. And if I have a provider that does it all, it's similar to like insurance, for example. Like you get this bundling effect with all these different streams, and then overall you get just a more cohesive user experience that's probably cheaper at the end of the day for you to use, right? And so as a result of this, that flywheel has gone up drastically over the last couple of years, and that's also one of the reasons why they can get to 800,000. Of course, they're going to crank more sales and marketing spend to get there, but it's also a little bit about training that user behavior to use this flywheel more and more, especially as every subsequent year, they introduce more and more and more financial services products to basically give you all of these different choices for you to bank with them exclusively end to end.
Okay, so it's nice. I'm going to just counter with a couple of things. And once again, guys, remember, I've invested some decent amount of money in this. But, so
go ahead.
I'm a mini bull, but I do see issues. One is the flywheel. It's only within yourself, basically, because you're using the extra products. That's how they're monetizing you too. That's cool. I actually like that. The fact that I can get a loan and I can have a bank account and I can do investing. That sounds great. But let me just give the other side in terms of some of these things. As you get more mature, and you guys are probably not in your 40s, I don't think so. So as you get a little bit older and you get a little bit more money, and you don't want to put it in one little banking app in one place, you actually do want to spread it around. Well,
why?
You want to be a little bit diverse. Even if something happens and the FDIC or the SDIC covers it, you still want it sort of spread around where you have access to it. A site goes down, by the way. Okay, I've had sites go down where I can't trade or I can't access my money, but I have it somewhere else and I can access it. That's just one reason. So it's not good to have it. By the way, banking relationships, having actual human beings that you can get loans. I'm in real estate. I buy properties. So I have to talk to bankers all the time. And it's harder to talk to a SoFi banker. Yeah, maybe I can call him, but that's just not the same thing as walking into a branch and doing it. So there's all these other relationships that I think the younger generation is ignoring.
Sure, but Vitaly, so that use case that you highlighted is as a result of your desire to diversify. It is not as a result of you having a lack of options with your current vendor, let's say, offering all of these different streams.
Well, Tevis, I think I disagree with you on that.
I disagree with you on that as well. So go ahead.
Vitaly, have you heard of the next generation banking core that Anthony Noto has talked about?
We can leave the slide and come back to it if you want to go big. I don't know if you just want to.
Yeah, I mean, you can click that too, but.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
So, Vitaly, have you heard about like the next generation banking core strategy that Anthony Noto is trying to do?
No, explain.
Tanner, can you share the slide 12? I already have it pulled up down there. So back in 2022, Anthony Noto was talking about how SoFi's backend infrastructure is built. And he says right now, Galileo, if you look at the very top, Galileo offers a core technology and a ledger to its partners. However, it does not offer a multi-product core technology. What this means is SoFi is paying other companies to use their lending infrastructure. SoFi has their own lending infrastructure, but they are paying checking and savings, credit cards, and investment platform infrastructure costs to other companies. Like we're licensing that type of cost. But at the bottom, Noto's future goal is to have one multi-product core that serves all of our products and can be extended to include new products.
So you're bringing up my bull case with Galileo.
Yes. So, but here's the problem is that Galileo doesn't offer this yet. Recently, though, they have started advertising.
Galileo doesn't offer this to SoFi. They do offer that right now.
Okay, so you're saying that Galileo offers investment, credit cards, checking and savings, and lending, like infrastructure to investments. Like if I wanted to build like a Robinhood like competitor, I can go to Galileo and they would give me that infrastructure.
Yes,
because they don't have that. Because we don't have that infrastructure. Like Galileo isn't selling that infrastructure yet at all.
Well, it says
we bought Technisys. It says Anthony Editor, look at the very first. It's Galileo offers a core technology ledger, but it doesn't offer multi-product core technology.
Yeah, but
which is what Technisys was bought to like include.
I know,
but
Technisys is now Galileo. Like we
yeah,
own
that's what I'm
Technisys
saying.
now.
But this was back in 2022, and we still haven't like gotten our own. Like we're partly there. We're selling it. If you look right here, this is advertisement from early January of like Galileo advertising that, but we still don't have our own investment backend. Like that's something that's really hard to do, and we don't have that. So a lot of the reasons why SoFi Vitalik isn't cool is because it takes forever for us to actually like build out our front end because our back end is not this multi-product core that we're working on. It's kind of separated into these 4 silos, but our ultimate goal is to have it like all into one big platform so that we can like build more products faster, cheaper, with operational costs lower than anybody. I did read an article by McKinsey that says like banks that actually run on next gen banking cores, like it's like the savings is like 90%. You're basically running on 10% of what you used to run on operational costs. So that's our whole game plan, and the reason why like SoFi is kind of lacking behind on our own product is because we haven't built this big core.
Are you saying basically? I didn't even know this. So SoFi is not eating its own dog food right now.
What do you mean by that?
Well, they're not using their whole Galileo stack, the one they keep selling to everybody else. They're not using it.
We are.
They just acquired it.
Yeah, so like we are like so we have our own buy now pay later service that is built by Galileo and Technisys. They are currently working on this goal of making one multi-product core that they can use themselves. SoFi can use all this R&D on their own members and then be able to like refine it on the back end for Galileo and Technisys to sell to other people. The cool part about this is go ahead, Tanner.
No, I just wanted to add to that because pretty much I'm just going to put it back for a second. Essentially, what Anthony Noto had said whenever they were acquiring Technisys is that this is what's called infrastructure technology or regulation technology, and so they're helping other banks build their banks, right? Yep. And Anthony Noto said they only have so much manpower, and so they want to rush as there's this gold rush to turn legacy banks onto the new cloud native technology. SoFi is a guaranteed client of Technisys. That's an absolute. But they don't want to waste time building that whenever there's a rush for clients that aren't guaranteed clients and there's a lot of competition. So go out and acquire the people that we're not guaranteed to get right now, and then come back when you're done and fix up the old house. You know, does that make sense?
It does, but then it's sort of, I didn't know this, by the way, so thank you for informing me on this. It goes against the Amazon model that I sort of believed that Jeff Bezos did in the early days, where he ate his own dog food. He created AWS for himself and built out an infrastructure. Yeah, he did. He built out an infrastructure that was larger. He had more compute, and he ended up selling the compute to other people. And everything had to be.
That's not true at all.
Hold on.
Amazon.com.
One more thing.
Amazon.com very notoriously did not use AWS for the longest time. They were using Oracle. They were not eating their own dog food up until like 2017.
They built a lot of APIs. Okay, fine. If you're talking about the database part, okay, you might say about the database part, fine. The actual database part, that's Oracle. But in terms of all the APIs they built on top of it, they did use that. And that is what they said. We have to have everything to be an API that we can use and that everybody else can use. So my question to you now is SoFi doing that, where they can actually start using their own API?
It's a little better. Okay, so
well, I'm glad I riled you up, Tanner.
So let me just say something real quick. So in 2008, Jeff Bezos did a presentation in Silicon Valley that was pretty famous, and he gave like a story about like German breweries back in the early 1900s, like 1910, 1915, and he was talking about like the biggest breweries in Germany were building their own generators because everybody discovered that electricity is magic, and every company that was trying to build better products, they were all using electricity. The problem was that electricity, no matter, even if you have like the best generators in the world, it doesn't make your beer taste any better. So a lot of these big brewery companies started making their own generators, and they poured so much money into this research and development when they really just had to hire some third party company that just gives them like a discount on their energy bill, and just do what they were doing from the very beginning, which is building the best like alcohol possible. And that was Jeff Bezos's like argument for like getting young people to adopt AWS. Like, let us take care of like the stuff that you don't need to be taken care of. But for SoFi, like that doesn't really work because so Jeff Bezos's like synopsis right there was just focus on what makes your beer taste better, leave everything else to people that are good at what they do. But for banks and fintech, all the innovation is done by fintech, and banks have been hiring them for like over like 15 years now, because it doesn't make their product any better at all. But for what SoFi is doing is like they're building the infrastructure, and if they do this multi-core product banking, it will make their beer taste better.
First of all, I do agree with that. That's what I'm saying. The bull, you're just reiterating my bull case that Galileo is really the point of SoFi. How they, I was just surprised that they are not eating their own dog food. I didn't know that part of it, which kind of it's not good. Okay, I know Tanner's trying to say that that's a good thing, but that's not good. You have to use your own.
No. It's not a good thing, but it's not a good thing in the industry. It happens, and I just thought.
Isn't that a good thing, by the way?
I think
I
think the Amazon example might have been the worst example because it was notorious all the way till what is October of 2018 that they still weren't on AWS. That it was like that's an example.
Because they were building
the largest technology company not eating their own dog food.
I think you're talking about Oracle, the database. You're not talking about the APIs they built internally for everything. I think that's
I know, but you're trying to break. But they offered the database.
I get you, but you're breaking up multiple things, and the APIs are what's at the end of the day what's important. The reason the internet works is because of APIs.
Okay, so SoFi
the database is actually not that important.
There's a lot of great SoFi uses Galileo's APIs to do all their payment processing, but no, they have not switched over their core and ledger processes over to Technisys, which is not the more important part.
How long is it going to take? Curious.
2024, 25.
Okay, so a couple of years to slowly integrate and test. No, it makes sense because these are financial products. You can't just switch overnight, first of all. That part I understand. But as long as there's some actual timeline and not just random, oh, maybe 1 year we do this, you know?
Yeah, that's the hard part because we don't know. They're very, very close-lipped about like their progress on the back-end infrastructure, which makes it really hard to really focus on like the most interesting part of SoFi. The only thing that we really can focus on is just like their app. And if there is some like major development there, it's probably a good indicator that they're doing something on the back end that is actually helping.
So let's talk about the app for a second before, one more slide about Galileo. Can I just show that last slide about Galileo? That's important. And I'm sure you guys went over this, but I'm new here. So this is where I was like, man, my only real bull case here, it doesn't seem like it's working out because it's going over a little bit.
Client. It's a single client.
It's current. Yeah. So their second biggest client left the platform, and they said by Q3, Q4 the margins are going to be back because also they were focused a lot on
besides margins, this is just accounts. So
yeah, it's their second biggest client that has all their accounts that moved off of the Galileo.
It was
platform.
The fintech company Current.
Yeah.
And where did they go? Curious.
Visa Direct.
Yeah.
Okay, so Visa has a competing product to Galileo,
and they just purchased the competing product to Technisys as well.
Okay.
Well, it could be that they're trying to save money on costs because they're not looking to expand their premium Galileo. So Galileo offers a lot, but Visa does offer like the bare bones for what Current does. So it could be that like they're going to Visa for a better offering or just to save money, and because
so the other
Tanner, you disagree with me?
No. I was just gonna say, like, you can't have an end phase without a solar edge. Like, I mean, we're not a monopoly here. Like,
Yeah, but you just mentioned 2 monopolies.
One of the cool
so
things
I mean, hey,
about
it's
So
Technisys
you see my problem. You even understand this is not a monopoly, right? You understand that right
No.
now. And the only thing that
There's
can
no-
make it a monopoly, by the way, is Galileo.
there's no monopoly in finance. There's 1,000 competitors in every single space.
Not every single space.
Small in finance there is
Oh,
absolutely.
in finance, yes, in finance.
Yeah, and so small differences make big changes. There's about like 6 different large businesses that you can have in finance, like payments, financial infrastructure, lending, deposits. I'll bring them all up because I'm just blanking right now. But what I find very interesting about SoFi is there's not many that really touch into all of them. And aside from payments, because SoFi is quite small in payments. Yes, we have Galileo, but even then, we're not quite in that space. All of the other ones we're in, and there's very few competitors that play in every space. So yes, we have unlimited amount of competitors, but the fact that we're doing them all and doing them all quite competitively is a moat in itself.
So one thing I will also say, and just for your awareness as well, Vitaly, because this is something that they dropped in one of the firesides, and it might not be something that's like very publicly talked about.
Mm-hmm.
With regards to that Galileo account dip, so 2 things. Number one, on the margins, because that was one of the like bear cases that came up over the past 2 quarters. It was as a result of them moving from on-prem to cloud, and they were just doing that migration and the costs associated with that. But for the actual accounts themselves, and to Tanner's point, like there's always going to be competitors. They're going to, they lost Current. Anthony Noto, I think a couple of months ago in a fireside chat with JP Morgan, he highlighted his strategy with regards to Galileo, which was, first of all, noting that they're already partnered and in talks with large legacy players who are just doing pilot programs with Galileo to move their infrastructure. And as a result of these pilot programs, what they're doing is every new account that they're getting accounts is on Galileo, but they're not moving their like bulk directory of all of their existing accounts until they prove out the model. The idea being that you see this steady, gradual increase in Galileo right now, and it might fluctuate because there's some big accounts that make up huge numbers. But the cool thing is, and one thing that I'm looking forward to is once a lot of these pilot programs with legacy players get validated, they're just going to funnel a huge number of their existing database of clients onto Galileo when they migrate, all of their existing users that have been with that bank for years and years. Because right now it's just trickling in because it's only their new user additions to validate the program.
What you're saying makes sense, by the way, because yes, my background is tech, so you don't just rush in and change all your systems over to one. So you test it out. It could take a year or 2 to test out something. So I think you're right. But you mentioned a big problem, which I still want to delve into. I'll list 2 more minutes. So Current left. Why? The question is, how easy is it to leave? Which I don't know. How easy is it to leave Galileo that they can just go to Visa and transfer this large amount of accounts? I don't know how long it took, by the way. I don't know what they were thinking about it for a while.
It was similar. They've been talking about this client leaving for like 6 months. So it was
6 months of moat. Is this what you're telling me? So Galileo has 6 months of moat, basically.
I don't necessarily
depends on the product. There's so many
because if it's
things
so much
that
cheaper,
Galileo offers.
You understand? Like when you lock somebody in, iPhone has my photos. It would take me months, me personally, just to weed through everything that Apple has of mine that I have to go transfer to an Android device now, right? So my question is, they have a moat. I thought Galileo was like, oh, this is hard to get out of. Like if you're in that contract, you spent all the time engineering, you can't just move somewhere. But is it 6 months? Is it 3 months? Like that actually matters.
Yeah, I don't think it's that long. What I think is important though is that not every client needs the same features and aspects. Sure. So Current could be they are not a complex business. They have a checking account and a debit card, and they offer it to teens. It's a very simple business.
Is that like Chime? Similar to Chime?
Yeah, the problem is our largest client is also that type of business as well, which is Chime. So
if Visa comes along and says, hey, we'll just knock off 50% because I don't care about this business. It's not it's nothing to them right now. They just want to steal customers at this point, right?
Yeah,
Basically,
and-
Galileo can keep on the down. That's just what I'm worried about. That Galileo can keep going on a downtrend because Visa doesn't care about knocking down 50% and just undercutting Galileo. They just don't care about it.
Yeah, and so this is why we acquired Technisys, is because
I'm a little confused
we-
on what y'all are talking about. Like,
Okay.
what product are we talking about?
I'm still
that
on Galileo.
Visa can just
Yeah.
steal. Yeah, because
Payment
Galileo has a
processing.
ton of different products. Okay, because like we do offer payment processing, we also offer digital banking, B2 payments, like card issuing.
And
Yeah,
Visa's
but
not
we
offering
don't-
this?
And
But so
Huh?
of course they are. The problem is we don't know
Yeah.
exactly what products Chime or Current are actually needing. I'm speculating here.
Mm.
I'm saying they're not a complex business. The complex businesses are the large legacy banks that have multi-product cores that need to all be in one. Okay. And that's why we acquired Technisys. And so the idea being is that the new clients that we're going after, which could be the Wells Fargos, the Citi groups, these sorts of things, would bring on so many new clients and not be able to be taken by Visa because they don't offer those large solutions, the complex options that a Galileo, Technisys, and supporting bank license that, you know, SoFi.
So as soon as
and
you're
the
on
technology
Technisys
platform
and
offers.
Galileo, when it's combined into one, you're saying that is the moat. That is why it's going to be hard to get off of this.
switching
for
costs goes
complex
up a lot.
clients.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Actually, it's actually kind of drastic how big the switching cost goes because like you'll have your entire bank running on SoFi, and in order to switch, you're going to have to like take every building block that you built on top of SoFi's infrastructure, and it's just like it'll be harder than any other product that we've ever built.
And not only that, Anthony Noto has been explicit that the clients that have left will be back because that's
Really?
yeah. Because
he
he
has to
just
say
thinks
that.
that
You know, CEOs sometimes
course.
just speak out of their ass because they want to be confident about what they're doing, of course.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I did hear his last talk. I only heard it once, though. I don't know if you guys heard it more than that. But he had a talk with Morgan Stanley. Is that who he was talking to?
I'm
You
not
guys
sure. Tell
remember
me
he
a
had
little bit about the
webcast?
call.
Well, he had a webcast where he was talking about the actual business. You guys must have heard
Okay.
this.
Yeah, I'm sure I have. Let me know what you're
Well, I was
talking
hoping you
about.
can give me more details about it because I skimmed through it. But in the talk, basically, he talks about the way they actually do the accounting for the business, and a lot of people are not understanding that. Can you explain that to me?
They do fair value accounting, which means
Explain that to me. I'm
that-
not a financial advisor.
Yeah. I wasn't going to leave it there. Don't worry. So essentially, the way normal banks will do it is that they will write a loan and then do what's called CECL reserves, or they will write off 7 to 8% of the loan through the front of the door. So the second they get off, they go, this is the chance that they default, and we're writing that off. That's our loss. Okay. And then they'll write that off on the bottom line. The way that SoFi does it is in real time. So the client comes through the door, they're not losing a single dollar because they haven't. And as the client actually begins to default, let's say they don't pay back in the first 10 days, they write off 30% of the loan. After 30 days, they write off another 35% of the loan. After 90 days, they write off 90% of the loan. After 120 days, the loan is gone. So in real time, they're writing off their loans.
Wait, and how
So-
did the legacies do it again?
They write off 7 to 8% just through the door. And so they could have way more than that or way less than that, but they've only written off 7 to 8%. So this is what
Even if the
caused-
loan has been default for 6 months, are you saying a year?
Correct.
Okay.
They only wrote it off on the front at 6 or 7 to 8%.
But
So-
don't they eventually have to account for this? I mean, this eventually has to.
Yeah, but if they're not holding, so if they're holding for sale, then they do. But if you hold for maturity, and then you technically do not have to ever write it off because you're going to hold that loan yourself. You're not selling a bad loan to anyone.
Okay.
So you don't have to write it off. The problem is in the Silicon Valley bank crisis is that they were holding things for maturity when really they had to sell it. But so they're showing on the accounting 7 to 8%, when really it could have been 20 to 30%, but now you have to sell.
Mhm.
Okay. So you're turning something from maturity and making it a for sale product, but you had written off a completely different percentage. So the truth is, and this is the way I see it, and maybe some people differ, but the truth is how I see it, that the fair value accounting, what it actually does is makes Anthony Noto's job much harder because they have to be extremely transparent. You have to truly let people know the health of your book in real time. Okay,
Who else does this and who doesn't do this in terms of the fintechs out there? Do you know?
No, I don't know. I think Lending Club does. A lot of the smaller players, not the big legacy banks. But no, I don't know. It's very rare that the fair value accounting. That's what I do know. And in terms of large banks, it's not common at all. We're a 5%er here.
It does sound difficult because look, I'm not a financial advisor, and most retail investors are not. They're not even looking as deep as I looked into SoFi in terms of Galileo and all that. So it's just harder to explain to retail, besides the people in the chat, of course, but just to regular people, why this is a different business, why you should invest in it. That could be part of the problem, even for Wall Street. Like, why should we go into it now? Do you know what I mean? Because you have to know a lot of this. You have to really dig deep into a lot of this.
I think the same thing was true.
That's my point.
I think things rang true the same whenever I was investing in Tesla. People were not understanding.
No, it's much easier to get. You know that. Come on, like you actually see the product. You see the product.
I don't agree. I was investing back in 2019 when it was the highest shorted stock in the entire market, above Apple in terms of absolute dollars.
So was I.
People thought that this was a real car company with no moat, and the electric cars didn't go long enough, and everyone said road trips. No one's going to use it, right?
Yep.
I was there. People did not understand the business and the quality of the product. They were just looking at the financials, and they were a losing business at the time. I think it's very similar. People do not get, I don't think people nearly value the one-stop shop, because Anthony No's been saying this. He goes, it's been 5 years since people have been saying, oh, well, anyone can come out with a full one-stop shop, but no one is doing it. Why not? It must be quite hard.
Well, you're saying it like it's a major positive, and I still don't know if that's true. Like, if that's the moat, then this one-stop shop.
Sure.
I don't think that's the moat, because maybe I'm too old. It just doesn't matter to me that they do everything. It doesn't. I'm using their products, by the way. I have an account, but it's just not as important.
What is the margin increase for Enphase? I'll take it to where you live. Okay.
Yeah.
What is the margin increase for Enphase since back before, whenever they were servicing homes for microinverters at $2,000 share of wallet per house? So you had to get an installer out there for $2,000 of possible earnings on that home, to now it's $12,000. But you're still only getting one installer.
That's an estimate, by the way. I think I know where you're getting that from. That's not actually happening right now.
No, but it's a total addressable market.
Yes,
right?
It's the plan, but yes, it's not there yet. Okay, go ahead.
Right. But the essential, or the idea is getting people there, one person there. That's your servicing cost. That's your operating cost, and servicing an EV
but once
charger.
Again, okay, you brought up Enphase. Sure, I love Enphase. I have solar on my roof. It's like an advertisement billboard for Enphase and SolarEdge.
No, it's not. Your Enphase is underneath. There's no logo. That's not true.
No. First of all, there's a logo right outside the side of my house, and you don't understand how many people, like drivers, UPS drivers. Oh, tell me about the Tesla. Tell me about the solar. People who just drop by the house will ask me questions about it. They're not like, oh, tell me about your SoFi investment. Tell me about. I've
listened to you so much talk about how consumers are not making the choice on Enphase.
They're not.
The installers.
Look, I agree. At the end of the day, I've only sold 2 solar systems. 2. That's it. Carlos is one who bought it, because when I got it, I was like, you got to get this. And he actually did the research. Another guy in New York, I said, you got to get this. And he did the research. But I've told already hundreds of people. So you're right about that. But
you don't think that, tell me, people in the chat, how many people have referred people onto the SoFi platform? I'd love to know the people who are referring their friends and family.
You can't talk about the chat. I want you to go to regular people who are not in the chat, because all those people need for SoFi to win. That's different. I talk about
but you need for Enphase to win, and you only got 2 people.
That's why I talk about it all the time.
Vitaly, do you mind me asking you, like, do you see any fault, or like, what do you think about traditional banking apps? Don't you think they kind of suck? Like, don't you think there's room for improvement in this space?
No. There's obviously room for improvement, and I think SoFi is doing a fantastic job. I think it's going to be a good business, and it could be a great business. I'm not saying that, but it's just hard to pick the winners. And I know we're trying to pick a winner here, because at the end of the day, forget about Galileo for a second. If they didn't have that, what is their moat? The fact that they have 5 apps in one? They have X.com figured out? Like, that's what their moat is? That's not good enough.
If they're a nationally chartered bank.
One thing
how many digital nationally chartered banks are there?
This is good. So you're actually right about that. So the chartered bank, the fact that they're a digital bank does help, but it's not enough for a regular consumer to say, "Oh, let me switch to SoFi." That's they don't care about that. I'm just saying, what do they care about at the end of the day? So,
but people are switching though.
that's because of the high cost of them paying for people to switch right now. There's no
I know,
flywheel of
but
them switching. As soon as they cut off the money printer in terms of trying to get advertising, you see the amount of people joining drops. What happens if they don't
Yes.
advertise anymore? It'll just go away. That is not a good business.
No. But the clients that they did. So I disagree. So
Okay.
one, this is the banking business model through and through. So no one just simply wants to go to Wells Fargo or JP Morgan Chase or anything because their bank said it. It's usually because of a single promotion that had caught their attention or something along these lines. The great thing about banking is that once you're there, it's not like a DraftKings or a HIM or something like this where you have to continuously give them money to stay, right? You set up direct deposit and that client is there for good.
Once you're in, it's hard to get out. I agree with you there.
Yeah.
I totally agree with you.
So the high customer acquisition cost is fine if there's a continuously reoccurring revenue model. It's almost like a retail SaaS business. You know what I mean? We'll give you these services, these financial tools, and you continuously bring your money in and spend through us.
Yeah.
So
not to mention that, like, so right now they have about something like an 18 to 24 month period where they actually earn back that marketing spend for that user, right? The lifetime value is longer, than that. But the idea is
what's
that
the cost per user? Do you know? What's the actual cost per user?
Cost to serve or cost to acquire?
Well, acquire and serve. I'd like to know both. That's interesting.
Well, so serve, it's really hard to find that. So, but
what's
cost
your
to
idea
acquire
of it,
would be,
roughly?
I don't know.
it's low hundreds, like 130, something like that. I think I remember.
To acquire.
I
acquire
could be totally wrong.
That's expensive.
To acquire is about $350 per person.
Oh wow. Okay, that is a lot.
Which
per
is
person.
Yeah, but it's not nearly as low as the Cash Apps and the new banks and these sorts of people.
What was
It's
Square? Wasn't Square's like $20?
like $10, yeah. But the thing is that they're not a lending company.
Yeah.
So their average revenue per user is extremely low.
Right.
And so you're dealing with
That's valid.
mass clientele, small margins.
How come they
Whereas
can't do
SoFi's-
that? How come they can't do that? Why can't they do
They
the
will.
Square thing? They will.
Oh, wait, sorry.
Why can't they
thought
get
you
the
meant
cost down to $20-$30 or whatever? $50.
they don't want to be they don't want to be that client. They don't want to be the every person client. You're talking about a
I see what
very
you're saying.
high end.
They're aiming for the 700 plus credit score, the guy who can afford it. I see what you're saying. Okay.
That's why they're advertising with Amex. That's why they're advertising with SiriusXM. They're going after a more affluent client base through and through.
Right now, but like in the future, it doesn't matter. Like,
yeah, there will be in everyone.
The whole flywheel to SoFi is once they build this infrastructure out, they're going to be able to make profitable products on top of it that they can siphon data from. Wells Fargo, if I get a loan at Wells Fargo, they're not going to know any information about me whenever I go to apply for a banking account. And it's hard to do that because all the tech stack is siloed. And also you can, if I go to Wells Fargo, there's also all these other channels that they're legally required to keep open. Like if I send them a letter, there's somebody at Wells Fargo opening that letter and they have to do what I say on that letter. Whereas SoFi, you kind of like, you revoke that right when you sign the app at the very, very beginning. But like Wells Fargo has to keep these open because they already signed these customers back in the 80s. There's no way for these big banks to be able to compete in the future whenever SoFi has just this one platform where they can share all this data, and the FICO score kind of like becomes useless because SoFi can derive insights that other companies can't because we offer so much products just straight from your one app,
And I do think that, just like to build on Riley's point, I do think that one-stop shop, like while we may argue whether it is or is not a moat, when you're playing in an entire industry that's a margins business, having that vertical integration, like it's one of the reasons why I invested in Tesla. And I understand it's very different, but for Tesla to just sell their cars online and not go to dealers and not give a cut, for them to have that unified sort of assembly process, so on and so forth, it allowed them to play a much more aggressive game in terms of margins they could sell their cars at cheaper and outprice everybody else in the market. So for SoFi to now be a perfect hybrid of the pure fintechs and the pure legacies, they don't have all of that brick and mortar costs, but they also offer way more than the fintechs because of their bank license. And then you add the layer of Galileo on top of that, like it allows them the margin flexibility to be very enticing when you're talking about referrals, when you're talking about kickbacks, when you're talking about all of these people that they bring into their ecosystem. So they can be both very selective with the high quality borrowers that they're bringing in, but they can also be very generous with that same cohort of people because they know that they're always going to earn it back in a year or 2 years because of the lifetime value of that user, especially the ROI that they're going to get over that lifetime value of the user is going to continuously go up and up and up because they're continuously launching more products, right?
There is.
Well, here's a question. So I've been a SoFi customer for a while, a year and a half, 2 years.
What products?
Well, savings and investing. And I did try to look at their loans, by the way. And I was given a loan, unlike Chris, because I have better credit and I'm doing better. But I did not take the loan because it was too high. Their rates are too high, as opposed to I can go to Fidelity where I have and just get a better rate right away without even thinking about it. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah,
they do have a problem with, I know they're, what is it? High earner. What is it? What is that term? High earner.
Henry,
not rich.
high
Henry.
earner, not rich yet.
So I think that they're going after that basically, right? That's someone who's a high earner, but is not actually wealthy, does not have a Fidelity account, does not have a Schwab account, because like there is no way in hell I am switching those accounts where I have person I can talk to, easier to deal with my money, more services for someone who actually has a stack of cash sitting on the side. It's not going to happen. So, but you're saying that it's going after millennials, exennials, going after people who are high earners, but not there yet. So that makes sense. It actually does. I do see a bull case playing out there that those people might want to start somewhere, and SoFi is a good place to start.
And the cool thing is, like Anthony, I remember this was one of the first interviews I ever saw when doing my diligence on IPOE, when the SPAC merger was announced. Anthony Noto was on CNBC talking about it. And he mentioned that, our entire strategy right now around being historically a student loan business and then expanding out of that is so that we can go after the doctors and the nurses and all of these like high-end prestigious universities out there. So we can target those people because we know that in 5 or in 10 years, those people are going to be making bank and they're going to be looking to have a mortgage, and who are they going to turn to? And so building that trust with those people from their student loans all the way to the small, invest products and the financial services products to then get them at the mortgages and such, like that is the relationship that they want to build. They're playing the long game.
Yes, I totally see it. But here, I'm going to ask you a question, all you guys. So let's say you got SoFi right now. Everyone has SoFi, even in the chat. You guys are loving it. Okay. And as soon as you go for a mortgage, like you're saying, okay, you have the invest product, you have the savings product, whatever. I'm not sure what other options they have, but you go for the mortgage then. And they give you 4.2, and then Wells Fargo gives you 4. Who are you going to go with?
Yeah, but that's not going to happen. Yeah, that's not going to happen.
That's my question is.
Wells Fargo.
Wells Fargo.
This is the problem. There's no moat at the end of the day, because as soon as
that's not a moat. You made up a fake example.
It's not a fake example, but he was saying it keeps you in the loop. It gets you into the
how. Okay, so here
once again, mortgages are not part of a moat. Even savings accounts are not. Hold on.
How could Wells Fargo possibly price you out? How could we possibly lose to Wells Fargo?
Well, I'm telling you, if they actually give you a better rate, then it's possible they do. And there are plenty, by the way, there's hundreds of lenders galore that you can look up. The way I look up for rates is basically you go on a website, which bank is offering the lowest rate, you call them up, they check your credit. Yes, you can get that rate. That's it. That's the way it's done. It's not done because I'm a customer of SoFi. That's just not how it works.
But then you can make the same equal argument the other way around. Like if I'm a Wells Fargo customer and SoFi offers me a lower rate, then it's like
absolutely
it's a free for all.
No, but this is what I'm saying.
The real distinction for SoFi is if you look where the hockey puck is going, SoFi is building infrastructure to collect data and measure data on a way that Wells Fargo would never be able to offer a more accurate, lower.
The data only matters
unless they're just dumb.
The data only matters to SoFi. Look, obviously I'm invested. I think the stock is going to go up if that's what we're talking about. Stock will go up, guys.
I'm sorry.
Congratulations.
What do you mean by
No,
it only matters to SoFi, though?
No, I'm saying the data they're collecting is great, and there are some benefits that they can give rewards points. I have some of those. It made my stock. I think they gave some points to get some free stock. I believe I did that.
Sure.
So yes, these are nice things that keep you sort of coming in, but it's like Subway. If they give me a free sandwich, I'll take the free sandwich, right?
Yeah,
but then I'm going to go back to the thing that I like to do. So if somebody else gives me a better rate at a different place, if that's all we have here is a better rate,
sure,
it's just not enough.
So let's just say we're throwing customer loyalty, all that shit out the window. And
out the window with banks. Fuck
okay,
them.
We're thinking in a vacuum, just rates. Subway can give you a free sandwich today, but you know as hell that they're losing money on that sandwich. They can't do it tomorrow. They can't do it sustainably. And like it's the same thing, you know, with regards to Tesla, right? They can price everybody out because they're vertically integrated and they have better margins to do so. And so if you think of a lot of
actually, okay, that is powerful. If you're saying that they're going to make everything cheaper because they have all of these things in a flywheel, that actually makes sense. Is that what you're saying?
Right. Yeah, exactly. And that's as a result of their vertical integration and as a result of them not having the legacy burdens that the other players do. Like that's what Tanner was saying. Like how the hell is Wells Fargo ever going to have a lower rate than SoFi? Because we all know that they're going to be losing money on that deal or it's going to be super risky for them.
Yeah, that's the cool thing with finance is that like if you have $1 trillion and you want to pay 1% on that, it's the same as if you had $100,000, you're paying 1% on it. There's no opportunity of scale unless you have some entry into the market that's different than another player. But SoFi has a nationally chartered bank just as Wells Fargo and just as JP Morgan, which means they have zero advantage on pricing or interbank rates or the rates with the Federal Reserve. We all have the same rate. And so there's zero pricing power versus them. And then we have to look at, okay, well, what's their operating costs? And whenever you compare them versus the cost that they have to spend on their branches or the cost to also acquire, if you look at the cost of acquisition for Wells Fargo and Citigroup, they're in the, like, they can get as high as $1,000. They're extremely high.
So three times higher than SoFi, you're saying?
Well, yeah, because we're starting to get people through referral, and there is although be it small comparatively to Cash App, there is an organic level to people coming onto the platform due to things like the SoFi Weekly, for example. Some people use, a referral link or something like this. They learn about the company through maybe an invest platform and then maybe also want to be a client. That does happen. That rarely happens with Wells Fargo.
Oh yeah, I never recommended Wells Fargo to anybody. So I'm gonna have to go soon, but do you guys take questions? I don't know what you guys do at the end, or you guys keep talking for 6 hours. I have no idea.
Yeah, we do 6 more hours and then we get off.
Yeah, that's how it goes.
Do you actually take questions from people or no? I don't know if anyone has any.
Sometimes.
This has been really good, by the way, Vitaly. Like, I love the fact that like you're poking holes, you're asking the right questions, and like there's sharp questions to answer. And every now and again,
I'm still trying to learn. I'm still trying to learn about this because, like I said, I want to be convinced, and because I have a lot of fintech, no joke. I have PayPal, I have Square, I have a lot of SoFi. So at one point I believed, and I never really just sold out of it. But at some point my thesis changed about it. But you guys are helping me see at least data is important. If Galileo works out, I think we have a real business that can, maybe it's not going to be a Wells Fargo. Do you actually need it to be 150 billion? If it's 50 billion, I think I'm going to be pretty happy. I mean, like,
honestly, I am a believer in what Chris says. Like, I think if we look,
well, he doesn't believe it. So how do you believe it?
I think that I do actually think he believes it. I think he's opportunistic with his money and he doesn't make long-term plays, but I do think that he believes in his long-term strategy.
Right.
If you look at the actual, total addressable market for SoFi, everyone knows across the board, finance is growing and it's going digital. Okay. That is clear as day. Who's going to be the winner? Not clear. Now, if we also look one more, and we brought this up earlier, but SoFi as a percentage is growing, like as a percentage of the total market, they were 1% of the total new accounts opened in 2020. Now they're at 4%. They've quadrupled since then. And that's, in my opinion, not going to plan to slow down. They continue to push out way more products comparatively to the Wells Fargos. They're pushing out even new things like for example, the direct deposit product, SoFi Plus, right? It's getting people through the door and then they stay. And once they stay, then they, you continue to deposit more and more money. Okay, well, then you're going to get a credit card to go out and spend all that money. And then also through SoFi Plus, they offer you a rate discount of, I think it's 0.25% on all your loans. You're going to take that. And I don't believe that Wells Fargo is going to offer a cheaper rate through mortgages. SoFi just acquired Wyndham Capital, and they're very well, to be able to risk or price the risk of people for mortgages, student loans, personal loans. This is a regular bank now.
Go ahead.
So I was just going to say, it's also pretty cool, at least for me, to see that 4% of new accounts opened are SoFi, a company with 5 million members in a country of 330 million people.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the other question. So SoFi is only US. That's it, right? It's Canada.
We have Hong Kong and Singapore. We haven't opened our business up, but we have like approval too.
I like Riley's whole thing. It's we are doing this.
I do that too. But
when Elon does it, I'm just like,
open.
He's doing it. I'm just riding on his back.
Yeah.
We are open in Hong Kong. We're not open in Singapore.
I think Dubai is also coming soon.
Japan. Someone put Japan. Is that true?
I don't know about Japan. I heard United Arab Emirates is
so
here's
the other follow-up. Are they have charters that they're trying to get in all these places?
No.
Banking charters?
Nobody knows like our strategy in those countries. Nobody knows.
Yeah, not currently.
Got it.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
We have
So
no idea why
look,
we're in Hong
the
Kong.
fact that they're expanding internationally is a big sign. As soon as you start doing that, that means you are becoming a real international business, legitimate. That yes, I agree with you guys. First of all, they're undervalued for what they're doing right now. It's sort of ridiculous with the banking charter. It's stupid, especially with the call option on Galileo.
I don't think that there's any reason why we can't be $100 billion company. Like if we continue to grow at this rate, members are expected to climb even faster, and we're able to price loans efficiently, which we have been since 2011 or whatever. Like we've been a major player in being able to price loans that don't default. Then I don't see that changing. And we did that because we went after an affluent client, right? And then on the opposite side, it's like, okay, well then, other fintechs can come in and be cool for a little bit and take market share that way. But a lot of those new fintechs are going to have to sign up with Galileo. You know what I mean? So sure, Chime has a lot of customers. Sure, Robinhood has a lot of customers. Have you ever spent out of Robinhood? Because if you did, you spent through Galileo.
Well, that's the flywheel. If Galileo gets more people, it gets smarter, and all of a sudden you can't go anywhere else. That's once again, I mean that's the major bull case. That's the $100 billion bank right there.
I'm a big believer.
But that has to happen. That's still that has to happen. This is a long time away, if ever.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
But you could say the same about M-Phase, though. They still have to deploy. So
all right, fine. I'll end it here. At least I'll end it, and I'll leave. But Tevis, Riley, are you investing in? Because I think Tanner is. Are you investing in M-Phase?
No, so
I haven't done much.
They both said no.
So Tanner and I, we're gonna do this podcast, just this new series thing where we have to pitch each other stocks, and so we put out a poll this week, and M-Phase won the poll. It got over 400 votes. And so Tanner has to pitch M-Phase. I was thinking we're going to do it this weekend, but I'm not sure. Tanner, it's your call, basically.
I'm good for that. I've been doing my research, as Vitaly can tell.
I've replaced the Mitt, and by the way, I am more entertaining than the Mitt. Just FYI.
I know all about M-Phase now. I know all about 365 Pronto and Clipper Creek and
look at him throwing out the words.
BIN Engineering Services, and I know it all. I got it all now.
I've always been super open-minded to M-Phase, so I'm really looking forward to it. But I've never invested in it. So
I would
seems
say
overvalued. Let's get them out of here.
At $300, I was telling people, don't forget about it. Don't look at it. Wait till it goes down. But now it's going down. So Tevis, Riley, Tanner, I'm not talking to the crowd because I don't know them. I can't give them financial
advice. Yeah.
But you three should definitely take a good look at it while it's heading down. This is the perfect time.
Love it.
Mitt said in the chat, M-Phase is literally garbage. Okay, so Vitaly,
by the way, I love that he has such a big audience, but he hasn't invested anything that's good. Like he's gambling daily. Like, it's ridiculous.
He
He's
has
buying
become a
options
gambler.
left and right. He's just turned into a
Yeah.
fucking gambler, degenerate gambler. That's all I'm saying.
He is truly.
All right.
Before you go, Vitaly, I wanted to ask you, because this is something I never understood, or maybe we can do a podcast together,
Yeah.
just you and I on Enphase specifically.
Sure.
Why
all
have
of these
they
guys
not,
can join us, and you can ask me questions for a little bit. Sure, go ahead.
Sure. Why have they not actually made solar panels?
Okay, so solar panels are the commodity. China makes them too cheap to even compete with that. But everybody doesn't, like most people here in the audience, of course, now they know that under the solar panel is basically a monopoly. It's crazy. Even I didn't know about it.
Wait. We're not pitching Enphase. I just wanted to know that.
No,
part.
but that's why. I told you. But still, it's a valid
Okay.
point. People understand there's just two companies. That's it. So we're not talking about fintechs here. There's two companies that own 90% of this space. It's insane. Okay. Literally, you don't have to think about it. Two companies. So when you pitch these guys, it's just like, it's brain dead simple.
Yeah, I decided to buy SolarEdge and short Enphase because.
I'll mention it here first. I didn't even mention it in our podcast, but what I'm planning to do is I don't have any SolarEdge. I've never had it. I've always been waiting. When it hit $200 a while back, I was silly enough that it's going down. Everything's going down. I might as well wait. So, and it's cheaper than Enphase.
But I found that their margins suck, and they also don't get into microinverters or something. They only do the string inverters.
I don't want to turn this into that's wrong. It's power optimizers. I'm not going to turn this into an Enphase podcast. But I'm getting SolarEdge probably a position started with selling a put coming up soon, because I
don't want to say you're wrong, but I think you're wrong there.
On SolarEdge,
in the power isn't their power optimizers only like
I'm not
50% of their okay.
Vitaly, do you just want to pitch Enphase to us?
No, I'm not going to do that now. If we want to do a separate thing, then sure.
No, not right now.
No,
a separate episode just to pitch Enphase.
Yeah, sure. I don't know about this weekend, but because I'm doing a couple of things. But if you guys have your episode, maybe then I get on a different episode with you all and pitch Enphase who wants to hear it. On SoFi Weekly.
That would be great. That would be, on the Stonk Tank.
Yeah, Stonk Tank. I think
that's actually a better name. You guys should change. That's the other thing. Like SoFi Weekly. Like I get there's a lot of news.
No, that's not the name we're going to change.
You should change it to or even what is it called? Not Finance Junkies. That's taken. But what is it? Fintech Junkies.
Fintech Junkies. Yeah.
What's wrong with fintech?
I go from the fintech frenzy at 7:30, and then I go to the fintech junkies.
You should do a poll right now. Can you just do a poll real quick? Ask them. No, you can't do that. All right, guys.
Thanks, Vitaly. I appreciate it.
It was a pleasure. Bye.
See you.
Thanks,
do we have any questions? Let me change that. Do we have any questions? Maybe we can answer anything. Maybe if Vitaly brought up any points or something that maybe people wanted to clarify for the next 8 minutes or so, and then we'll get out of here. I'm going to get I got to send a text. SoFi Weekly, Vitaly pitches Enphase. No, so we're thinking about doing a podcast where we get different judges or different sort of pitchers to pitch stocks, and then we'll buy them or we will sort of go against them, give some counterpoints, similarly to what Vitaly did here, but for SoFi, but for all the other.
I don't know where the dares are going to come in, but we'll figure out a way to loop them in.
I send you a link of those cookies, and you didn't say a thing.
No, I saw them, like $200 cookies.
They look good.
Yeah, no, I'll buy them for you, and you can eat them on stream.
Okay. Okay, I think we're getting some questions. Tanner, how many people did you financially advise today?
We need a disclaimer.
None. Yeah.
Can we talk about Joel's comment?
Is this sponsored by SoFi? No, it's not. I wish it was.
They won't even give me a fucking hoodie, man. I've been doing this pod for like 40 episodes.
Just make one like Tanner.
Yeah, I don't know.
This
I might get a lawsuit from SoFi if I do that.
So what do you want to do, Tevis?
Are
we doing it live? What are we doing?
That's the first question. I can do tomorrow evening. I can probably also do like Sunday evening.
Live it is, guys.
Yeah, we can do it live. I just don't know which day. Whichever day works best for you, I'll make it work.
I like that comment. Maybe he'll make me sell after. He'll be like, yeah, and that after his whole presentation's done, we're all just blown away. Price goes down to $3 a share. We all sell. Yeah, right. What did he say? Something about it was a debt forgiveness rally stock or something stupid like that. Tanner, if the Federal Reserve rolls out the CDIC, will SoFi be a digital bank for CDIC deposits? Of course. Yes. Yes, so will PayPal, actually. And PayPal's been very public about that as well. So
You read that wrong twice.
CBDC, sorry. Central bank digital currency. Central bank digital currency. Yes. What did I say? CDIC?
Yeah.
That's a Canadian Deposit Insurance Corporation.
Yeah.
I don't think the Federal Reserve is going to do that anytime soon.
Maybe not anytime soon, considering how long it takes to roll out FedNow, which I want to clarify some FedNow information, okay? FedNow is going to be really great for peer-to-peer transactions, for bill pays, for a lot of those essential immediate transfers, okay? In instant withdrawals, instant deposits. What it's not going to be good at is sending money to another institution for like a checkout process, okay? Shopify won't be using FedNow.
So can we sorry, finish your thing and then I just want to pivot us to why not's comment. Yeah, so basically I wanted to talk a little bit about the UI updates because I feel like we touched on that, but we didn't really talk a lot about it.
Riley has a bunch of slides that we can look at.
Well, one of the interesting observations that I was maybe Riley, you can take it away and then we can talk about it. But
okay, I'm just gonna pull it up and then we're all gonna talk.
Sure.
All right.
I'll just walk through real quickly, like where we were, where we've been, and where we're at now. So 2019 came around and SoFi built everything that you see in the SoFi app right now. If you open up the SoFi app, almost everything that you see, 96% of it is what they built in 2019. And then shortly after, well, this is their slide deck. This is basically what they built in that time in 2019, roughly 12 to 15 months. And then the next year, nothing gets released on UI. Actually, a lot of the SoFi lead software devs leave. So like major players in building the software leave. The crypto lead, like Duolingo. These two guys that you see on screen right now, they built their own competing app called public.com, which looks similar to SoFi. A lot of people speculate that it was some of the products that they released over there at Public was actually set for SoFi, but since we had to push brakes on all the drastic spending, they left and they did it themselves. 2021, nothing actually happened with UI, absolutely nothing. In fact, our social platform, we used to have comments and profile pictures and a lot more interactive parts of the social element of the invest, but they rescinded a lot of that.
This was mostly the bank charter acquisition process with Golden Pacific and like going through the hurdles.
Yeah. So that's a good point. Like through this whole year, SoFi was working really hard on making sure that they got this bank charter. So at the beginning of 2022, I think it was February, we ended up getting the bank charter. And then at the very end of 2022, SoFi does their first update in like 3 years, which is the Relay part, the Relay UI. But this is just a very small part of the SoFi app. Most of what you see in the rest of the app
show us what's happening for the new update, because most people know about all these updates.
Sure. But for a big picture, nothing's been happening for 4.5 years. And if you look at the bottom right, Noto finally announces a new UI update for Invest. However, even though we're about to get a whole new Invest app or UI experience, the overall app experience is not going to happen anytime soon. This is
What do you mean?
just kind of like a fresh skin.
Show the tweet. Show the tweet.
I don't have the tweet, unfortunately. So
basically, Noto replied to Riley, and he said that we are working on a new Invest app very shortly. This was on June 20th. And then he said, we will also be looking at the user experience for the entire application, like end to end. But there's been no hands-on keyboards yet. This is still in its exploration phase. I'm paraphrasing, but he said, don't expect something for a very, very like much longer, basically.
Yeah,
so
because
not
the
this
they're
reason-
just
year.
gonna build it on. They're just going to build it on Technisys.
Yep, that's exactly right. Because, like I said before, I actually have a slide here. So, what I'm saying is, this is all good. We needed this UI update for Invest for a long time, but don't expect anything after this Invest UI update for a long time because of this. If you read this, Noto basically says that SoFi's backend is split into 4 different pieces. And he's working on getting all these pieces under our belt. We're starting to pull in credit cards. We have checking and savings kind of under our belt, but in the investment side of our product cores is not under our belt yet. We don't have our own technology for doing investing. So this is this UI is just like a cover, and honestly, we're spending money on somebody else's licensed software. So I don't know. It's good. It's just going to be a long time before we actually get a full app update that actually makes us really, really, really sexy and cool like Robinhood.
Cool.
Do you have the video or the mock-up for the July 5th announcement?
I could get it.
Here, you pull that up and
Sure.
let's talk about that why nots comment about what are some upcoming products, because I have some pretty interesting ideas about that actually.
Can I go first?
Yeah.
So I made a video earlier today because I've been sort of out of the loop a little bit on SoFi, just dealing with like other work, and so I caught the July 5th news a little bit later, i.e. today, and then I just jumped into a video for first reactions. So on July 5th, and that's why these dates are like fresh in my mind.
This is
on
a
July
fun
5th,
comment, by the way.
we can circle back to that too.
Yeah.
2 days ago, SoFi released their new app update, their enhanced user experience for SoFi Invest. And in my mind, that was interesting because the app is more seamless and the app updates are something that people have been really looking forward to. Me personally, I'm looking at the backend changes that will enable their functionality. Like those are like the meat and potatoes of their actual value proposition, and all the front end stuff is like, it's the embellishments. But for users really care about that sort of stuff. The interesting observation, I'd love to get your thoughts, guys, on this, is that we know that enhanced options trading is going to come in Q3. I think we are in Q3 now in July. So in the next 2 to 3 months, we're going to get enhanced options trading. And now that we got the enhanced SoFi Invest app, it's going to be really interesting to see if we do become something that is closer in comparison to Robinhood, and even an enticing force for siphoning users off of Robinhood's platform onto SoFi, because of, and only because of, the coincidental timing of both of these changes happening in the same quarter.
Well, so I think Riley and Amit are kind of on the same basis in this sort of idea that the difference between Robinhood and SoFi are more than just the product offerings, right? Like even if you offer level 1, it doesn't quite have the cool feeling or the fast, easy use to it. So I don't think it'll take people for the SoFi Invest product. I think it'll take people because they have the SoFi Money product, or they have the credit cards, or they have a loan there or something as well.
Well, hold on. Before we go into that, they don't have the cool aspect. And I guess this is a question for Riley as to like what he defines as cool, but because Riley used Robinhood and we're in Canada, that's why I'm saying it for you. But does this app update now increase SoFi's cool factor Like, is all they're missing fucking confetti coming down from on your screen, or like where would you place that, right? Because the why nots comment, their next product is going to be enhanced options, level 1 options coming in the next couple of months, which make this change, the timing around it, really interesting to me.
Yeah, it's a step in the right direction. If I ask 100 people with SoFi Invest in one hand and Robinhood in the other hand, I'm pretty sure 90% of people are going to choose Robinhood. But like this just makes it a lot more sticky, and it's way more usable and user friendly to use. It's kind of cool because like there are some like visualizations. So usually like right now, if you take out margin in SoFi Invest, it's like impossible to like understand like where you are within your margin because of course the stock market's volatile and it changes day to day. But like in this new update, you'll be able to just hit like a little tab and it will come out and there's just like a bar and it shows you how close you are to when your money gets pulled out of the stock if you reach that margin limit. So it's more intuitive, and I think that's like the most important thing. Like maybe the UI is not like the cleanest, but it's way more intuitive. It's easier to like navigate through the app. I know a few people that I talk to, they absolutely hate doing like recurring purchases on SoFi because there's so many taps you have to do. Like if I wanted to make a reoccurring purchase Monday through Friday on a stock, just like something cheap, $5 every day into a stock, I'm gonna have to like press my phone and my thumb on the phone like 45 times just to go through all the menus every single time I do it. Where in reality
Yeah,
that can be like 5 button clicks and then you're done, you know. So
I think the thing and the reason why I'm so bearish on Robinhood is that like there is literally only so many financial products that you can make. You know what I mean? Once we get out, sure, you can do 24-hour, 5-day a week trading, and then maybe they'll open it up to 24 hours, 7-day a week trading. And then eventually, like you can't make it any better than that. You know what I mean? And then I don't care if you bring in, new types of option abilities. The other fintechs will catch up. And aside from, yes, there is some ease of use there, but is that worth betting that they're going to be like, how does that affect margins? I know we're not even talking about this, but it's just like the reason why I won't ever go anywhere near Robinhood is I just don't see how past a UI, like a UI doesn't make a business. It makes a product, but it doesn't make a business. And so what I think is so good about SoFi is like, okay, once we get out level 1 options, then we'll be that much closer. Will they be as intuitive as Robinhood's? No. Will your mortgage, for example, if you're talking about a really serious thing, will your mortgage rate be affected by you having your invest platform on SoFi? Maybe. And this is where I disagree with Vitaly that there is benefits to having your money on platforms if they can use those as collateral, for example. I spoke about this recently with Nubank. Nubank came out with this product, which was lending based on the stocks that you have in your Invest app. Okay. They would lower your rate because they're, collateralizing against your Amazon and Tesla shares. Absolutely. That makes like that does play an effect. And if people really want to save some real money, they will invest with SoFi or bring their money over to SoFi Money, because you might actually get a better banking relationship with SoFi. What I disagreed with Vitaly as well is that you can't create a banking relationship with SoFi. Of course, there's advisors at SoFi and you're going to get those same treatments that you would at a normal bank. It would just be, over an app or phone call.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to pivot to the Apex comment or?
Yes.
What's
do you just want to answer that?
Yeah, so why not also said an Apex acquisition would be great, like as their next sort of product going off of, I'm assuming going off of like the Wyndham. It's not going to happen. Apex is too expensive.
No, it has nothing to do with Apex being too expensive. We owned Apex and we sold out of them. We obviously don't like that business.
So sad.
Didn't Apex?
No, we had to. Didn't we have to?
Apex was going to go public via SPAC at like a $4.7 billion valuation.
If I'm not
I haven't
If
followed up on
Adim's
it.
in the chat or someone that remembers this clearly, I'm pretty sure we owned a 1/6 ownership of Apex Clearinghouse. We made $0 on it because the company was not growing, and so we sold out completely, and now we hold nothing in Apex.
Wow, I didn't
So
know
that
it was
doesn't.
because of that. I wish we would have held that. That's a great company. Or just it like a lot of the like M1 Finance for a time. There was an interesting comparison between SoFi and M1 Finance. M1 Finance was a user of Apex, and they had like just the lowest like operating costs through Apex, just because they do all of their trades once a day instead of everybody like doing it whenever they want during market open.
Yeah, but
Everybody just
SoFi uses Apex. They just don't have equity in Apex.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, but like at a time, SoFi did have equity in Apex, and they were able to like actually figure out all this stuff. And I'm pretty sure because like Bender last year, way back last year, found out like through some of the text that they were actually SoFi was looking to actually offer something very similar to what M1 Finance does, which is those pies called custom portfolios. And it was very interesting because I mean, like SoFi, the only like connection SoFi had with M1 Finances through Apex, and they probably just saw some unique insights about how low the operational costs are for. And I'm totally speculating, but it's just interesting that we could compete with M1 Finance's pies like product, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. Any ideas on new products though? Because I wanted to ask why not's thing. I do think that the next new product is level 1 options, probably.
Like we know that that's confirmed, right? Like,
well, it's not confirmed for Q3. That was a person that works at SoFi Invest that had leaked that to me. So it's not.
yeah. No, but I know, it's not confirmed by the company, but like we know that that's on their roadmap immediately. I know. I mean, like, sorry, just one thing, Ryan. Buy now, pay later blindsided us a little bit because we didn't really know how invested they were in releasing buy now, pay later, and then we just woke up one day and like we had buy now, pay later. So there is always a possibility that there is another product like that, but I think the safe bet is to say level 1 options is the next release because we already know that that's coming and we have a rough estimation.
I think the collateralized loans product is quite cool too with the Invest platform. Nubank is expecting that to be a massive industry, and we don't really see that here in America, which it's quite common in Latin America. So, yeah, could be big.
How do we know this guy is actually telling the truth? Does he have like a track record of giving us good intel?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's why
Cool.
I believe him. He's been quite good. So that's what I'm saying. I'm not betting the bank on it. I'm just saying this is a suspicion.
Betting the bank.
And let's
if you're going to put your career and reputation on the line to leak something that's not true, you'd probably make a bigger lie. Like SoFi is acquiring this company, acquisition is going to come through, tomorrow.
It's the same person that told me that Current was that client. So that's how we found that out, and that ended up becoming true because we found the article that actually said that they were leaving.
What a cool find.
Yeah, so I'm a believer in him, or them. Narrowing the company down. Yeah. Funny. Okay. Why don't we end it there? Thank you everyone for showing up. If you guys have any extra questions for myself, Riley, or Tevis, you guys know to find me on the Twitter. Stop pointing at me. I'm not done. So check us out on Twitter, not on Threads. We will be back next Friday, and Tevis has something to say.
Can we narrow down like an actual time this weekend, since we have like 200 something people here for the Amphase video?
I don't care. Yeah, tomorrow at what time? What do you want?
6 p.m., 7 p.m. I don't know.
Is it going to be at 6 p.m. every Saturday?
I don't see. Okay, let's just narrow something down for the first one, and then we'll figure it out for the rest.
Okay, Monday at 8 p.m. There you go. All right.
Sure. We're gonna do it every Monday.
Yeah.
You guys can follow me on Threads at Riley Smelly.
Fucking hell. Okay.
Anyway, yeah, we're not going to get into that. We'll just end the podcast. Thank you all for coming. What a good show this was. Vitaly was amazing, and everyone's right. Like the questions not only allowed us to reiterate our theses, but like explain to someone else and explain to the audience exactly what SoFi does, and in certain areas where they might have competition or where they really show off. So yeah. Anyway, bye for now. Thanks.
Thanks, y'all.
Hit subscribe.